Joining me right now, though, preview a little high school football on the South Plains. Stephen Orr with the West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show. Stephen, good morning. How are you?
I'm great, Chad. How are you today?
Doing well, and we've already got at least one school, Coronado, Lubbock Coronado. They are sharing the crown for 4-5A and heading to the playoffs.
I'll tell you what, and what a great game by them last night, taking care of an Abilene Cooper team that I thought posed a real problem. But Coach Seth Barr has to be really happy. He said yesterday, I heard him say that he wanted to establish the run. They were going to have to really execute well, and they did all that, and they wrap up a share of that district title.
Yeah, and congratulations to them, and they're going to be moving on into the playoffs. A lot of other teams have quite a bit to play for this weekend, including for the playoffs and seeding, right?
Absolutely, and there's so many ways that you have to break that stuff out, but a lot of people have taken care of their business. When we get into that 6-2A district, the big district with Friendship, San Angelo Central gets the win over Amarillo Tascosa last night. They finish up 10-0 on the year, 6-0. They're outright district champion. Also, Midland coming out of that district as a playoff team. And then you've got Friendship and Amarillo Tascosa both sitting at 3-3. Midland Lee playing Odessa Permian tonight and to try to move to 3-3 as well. And I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is there, but I do know that Friendship has the head-to-head over Midland Lee, so I believe that means that Friendship is going to be in the playoffs as well. They have the night off. They wrapped their season up last week with that win over Midland Lee, 58-28. So they get the open week before they find out exactly where they're going to land. We drop down into District 4 of 5A, the district we were just talking about, and you've got Abilene Cooper and Lubbock Coronado both sitting at 4-1 in district play. Coronado 9-1 overall. What an outstanding season for the Mustangs. And they've been very impressive. You know, and they put up against Lubbock, they had 69 points. They got 40 points last night against Abilene Cooper. I didn't think they'd score that many points, but they really played a good ball game. The big ball game tonight is the battle for the Silver Spurs there in Lubbock between Lubbock Monterey and Lubbock High School. And Monterey sitting at 2-2 in district play. Lubbock High is sitting at 1-3 in district play. But Monterey needs to win this ball game to assure themselves a spot in the playoffs. So a big game there. You've got Lubbock Cooper taking on San Angelo Lakeview. Cooper should be well out in front of that team. Lakeview 1-7 on the year, and Cooper would advance to 3-2 and also have their playoff ticket punched that way. And I'm not sure what the math is, but I do know if Lubbock High wins tonight, there is a way that they can sneak into the playoffs, which would really be something for them.
Really?
They would go in at 3-7.
Wow.
So, but anyway,
we've seen worse.
We've seen worse, but you know the thing about Lubbock High, really and truly, and I mean, moral victories don't necessarily go far or whatever, but those guys have played some good football, and it's not like they've had the doors absolutely taken off of them every week like they have in the past. They've been competitive in most of the games they played, with the exception of last week and Abilene Cooper, which are the top two teams in the district. But they've played some good football, and Monterey needs to certainly not count their chickens before they hatch, and they need to show up and play in this game, or they could get a bit of a surprise. Drop down into Class 4A, District 1, that's Borger, Leveland, Pampa, and Dalhart. Again, they finished up last week. All four of those teams will go into the playoffs. So we get down in Division 2, and Perryton is winning that district. You've got Brownfield taking on Bushland tonight. Brownfield 1-8 on the year, 0-3 in district play, and they're not going to make the playoffs. And they've been riddled by injuries, and things just haven't gone like they wanted to. And they'll wrap their season up tonight against the Bushland Falcons team that's really playing some good football. They started out 4-4 on the year, but when they got into the district run, they've played really well. We dropped down into Class 3A, District 1, and big ball game taking place at Littlefield tonight, where Amarillo River Road comes in at 6-3 on the season, 4-0 in district play. Littlefield is 6-3 on the season, 4-0 in district play, and this is one of those games where we're just playing for an outright district championship. That'll be decided tonight, and River Road, a team that we don't normally talk about as being up at the top of the year, but as you talk to some coaches around And I know Coach Hoosman over there at Littlefield, I heard an interview with him. He said, well, people seem kind of surprised, but the coaches and those inside said if you're paying attention to them, you knew that they were going to be a very strong opponent, and they put together a string of 5 wins in a row when they come in playing really well. Littlefield has played very well, and this should be just an outstanding football game. Also, Shallow tries to finish their district season with a win over Muleshoe. Muleshoe coming off a disappointing loss to Littlefield last week. They're at 2-2 in district play. Shallow Water's at 2-2 as well. So this is an important game. River Road, Littlefield, Muleshoe, and Shallow Water are already in the playoffs. That's already decided. Slayton and Freona are both 0-4 in district play going into their ball game tonight. So they're playing just to finish their season on a positive note. Shallow Water in the playoffs, so the game with Muleshoe is basically for seeding. But I think that could be a good game. Shallow Water's built a little bit of momentum. I think they've got some continuity coming in late, but Muleshoe, certainly an offensive power. That defense of Shallow Water Mustangs is going to have to really play some good football tonight. We drop down into Division II of 3A, District 2, and the Idalou Wildcats are 4-0 on the year. They're taking on an 0-8 Stanton team, so you have to think if they show up, get off the bus, and play the game they're capable of playing, that Idalou could wrap up their undisputed district championship tonight. Colorado City sitting second in that district at 2-1. They take on Stanton, which is 0-8. And that's a conflict there. We got my schedule's off, but anyway, Colorado City sitting at 2-1 on the year, so they're in the playoff hunt as well. Stanton is eliminated probably at 0-3, and Lubbock Roosevelt taking on Coahoma, 2-6 Coahoma. Roosevelt could get a win and improve their district record to 2-2 on the year, so they'll be in the playoffs, is where Stanton is the team that is outstanding on that one. Drop down into 2A, Division I, District 2. The Abernathy Antelopes are 4-0 on the year in district play, and they take on Health Center tonight. They're coming off a big win last week over New Deal, 21-20, and that was probably one of the best ball games. I think I told you when you asked about the few games that I was looking at last week, that was the one I wanted to be at, and it was a barn burner of a ball game, and Abernathy comes out on top there. And with a really young team, they weren't picked to finish, but I think about third in the district, and they're probably going to win an outright district championship tonight. Health Center certainly wants to have something to say about that. Your teams that are in the playoffs are Abernathy, New Deal, Sundown, and Health Center. Floydada and Olton face off tonight. Battle of 2 and 7 teams, just trying to finish out the season on a positive note as well there. And I'll be interested to see how Sundown does coming off their win off Floydada last week. They take on a New Deal team that certainly wants to rebound and finish strong going into the playoffs. And this is a seeding game as well, as both Sundown and New Deal are 3-1 in district play. So really interesting things going on there. Last week in Division II, District 2 of 2A, the Clarendon Broncos were 8-0 on the season going into last week's game against Memphis, and they lost to Memphis by a score of 30-14. So Memphis sits atop that district at 4-0. They take on Rawls tonight, a 2-7 team. Clarendon has Wellington. The game we need to watch, though, in that area, in that district, is Crosbyton taking on Lockney, two teams that come into tonight's game with a 1-3 district record. And the winner of this game is going to lock up that fourth playoff spot coming out of District 2 and 2A. And Crosbyton is a team that has kind of puzzled me a little bit, because really thought they would be a little stouter than they were, but they've got a three-game losing streak coming in after losing to Clarendon, Memphis, and Wellington, which are the other three teams in that district that will make the playoffs. Lockney also comes off a win over Rawls last week, but they had lost to the same three. So this is going to be a good game. I give the edge to Crosbyton in a physical running game, but Lockney, certainly, if they can find the way on defense and figure out how to protect the ball and put a few points on the board, they have a good chance as well.
Visiting with Stephen Orr, West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show. Stephen, what's, I guess, the battle for the Silver Spurs? Is that the game to go to tonight?
The Battle of the Silver Spurs is certainly one of them. The other one that I really, really want to go see is I want to see that Littlefield Amarillo River Road game. That'll be a good one. And really, this Lockney-Crosbyton game, even though the records may not be that great, they're playing for a playoff spot, and that could be a really good ball game.
As of right now, are there any teams that are going to get into the playoffs that should just absolutely not get in. I mean, a couple of years ago, we had the school that won 0 games that got into the playoffs down in Houston because of a weird conflict or weird issue that was going on down there. But are there just any schools that should just absolutely not get in right now?
Well, I mean, it's when you look at District 1 in 4A, you've got a 1-7 Borger team that's going to be in the playoffs because there's only 4 teams in the district. They're 1-7, and they're going to make it in. And they've not had any success. They won their first game of the season. They're on an 8-game losing streak. Had 1 game canceled that they would have lost because of weather. And I don't mean to pick on one specific team, but there are those teams out there. And you're going to make me pull out my soapbox. I just think it's ridiculous when we get to teams that have losing records being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The first round of the playoffs is not, because of that, is not very compelling. We'll have more blowouts next week than we did going back to like the first week of the season when everybody's has done their schedule to try to have that game to start off on the right foot.
Yeah.
And there's so many mismatches. My suggestion would be I'd like to see something like you have in college where if you're going to take a team to the playoffs, you have to be at least 500. If you're not at 500, the team that would have played you in the playoffs gets a bye.
Sounds about right.
If you have to have this bracket done this way where we're going to take 4 teams in every district, if you can't muster a 5-5 season, then if you end the year below 500, you're the team that you would have played gets a bye and they go to round 2.
Yeah, but we're all winners these days.
Everybody gets a cupcake.
Everybody gets the trophy. Everybody's a winner. And the way I look at it, and I remember this team, it was down in the Houston area that got in, and the coach said, well, I guess it's one more game for us to practice. Well, yeah, but you also got beat like 58-0. I don't know how much that does for the for the players.
Well, and the sad thing about it, Chad, it's all about money.
Yeah.
Because the games get played, the UIL gets a cut, and that's what it's all about. And it's not good football. When 2/3 of most of the districts in the state make the playoffs, that's not a problem. I mean, so what is the significance now when a coach's resume says 10 years consecutive in the playoffs?
Yeah,
it means nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just my opinion. Of course, it's political season, so I can state my opinion.
You can state your opinion all the time. Stephen, we'll visit with you again next week for the final time, first round of the playoffs as well. So we'll visit with you next week, okay?
Chad, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. That's Stephen Orr, West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show, which you can hear this evening here on KFYO, News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. Listen online at KFYO.com and through the Radio Pup app as well.